later. But we begin with the conversation at quarterback. A lot of speculation right now, including the article from Mary Kay, Zach, that Deshaun Watson is ahead of Shedeur Sanders in the quarterback pecking order. Whether that's true or not for sure, who knows? Whether it matters on May 1st, who knows? But you see no upside at all to playing Deshaun Watson.
So these are the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
Right? At a time of year we can overload on sports. Kentucky Derby, NBA playoffs, baseball every day, hockey playoffs. It goes on and on and on. We're arguing quarterbacks.
Right. May 1st.
Probably the answer is none of the above going forward. And the team has even positioned itself that way.
Yeah.
But there's no upside in playing Deshaun Watson. Everyone knows that. And maybe the head coach doesn't know that, and maybe the head coach will truly believe. He cannot believe that off 3 practices in a couple of weeks.
Right, it's great.
Impression, right? Yeah. And they've positioned it in a way to where, they have Deshaun for 1 year because they have to.
Yeah.
And they have these other guys who are flyers, except for Shedeur, who showed some promise, but not anything great. So maybe this is all to motivate and get the best version of Shedeur, which is the best plan. Maybe there is a stark early realization that it has to be Deshaun. And in one practice that was open, I thought Deshaun looked good. But everybody knows the truth and knows the final answer here. And everybody also who's being a little bit realistic about the situation knows that this team is at least 1 year away from being back to respectability. In a year from now, Deshaun Watson's not going to be on the team. His time's up. He sunk the ship. He didn't do it alone. He sunk the ship. So every snap that Deshaun Watson gets in 2026 is a waste of time. And the Browns should do all they can to limit those, if not eliminate them altogether, in the weeks to come.
Todd Monken, the only reason he's going to play him, if he does, is because he thinks he gives him the best chance to win. Now, that probably is not going to benefit the Browns in the long term. I understand the fans are sick of watching losses. And I think there's a lot of fans that if Deshaun Watson gives them a better chance to win,
but does
would
he?
rather see him. I don't know. but why else?
How could we make that evaluation when we're not there to see the other stuff that
But we watched him for 3 years, Mike. He started 19 games. He played 3 good games. I mean, we're not even talking about average play.
No.
They gave this guy the record contract, and he started 19 games in 3 years, and he's off 3 good games. Horrible.
The odds of him being anywhere close to the player when he was in Houston are less than 1%. If Todd Monken thinks that less than 1% chance can happen, I get it. That seems so unrealistic that, and if he's the player, if Deshaun Watson is the player we've seen in Cleveland, I don't think it's any better than Shedeur Sanders. But the only thing I can think of as to why he would play him is that he thinks he can get that player out of him, as unlikely as that seems. And I get it if he truly thinks Deshaun Watson gives the best chance to win. I get it because he wants to win games. He could get fired after 1 year if it's really bad. You never know.
It's his bet, and it would be a bold bet.
It is kind of crazy. You're right. There is almost no scenario, A, that he plays well, B, that even if he does play well, he's back next year. These things are such minuscule odds of going well that they are probably better off playing Shedeur Sanders. Now, I don't think Shedeur Sanders is that good either. I think there's a chance he could be a starting quarterback in the NFL, but I think it's certainly a better chance than Deshaun Watson that he could be a starter, but I don't think there's a good chance that he's a good enough starter in the long term.
Todd Monken's going forward, looking forward. The Browns hired Todd Monken because they have to look forward, right? And every NFL team goes down a road. There's uncertainty, even if your quarterback, your head coach, and your GM are all back, right? But if you've been driving bull down the same road for 5 years, the same bad road, eventually you have to turn around. This is why the Browns are lost.
I wonder why.
The GPS is kaput.
I wonder why, I could understand the scenario why Todd Monken would want to play Watson. I don't understand why the organization. Now, if he's on the roster, you can't say to the coach, you can't play this guy. But what I don't understand is it seems like the organization wants Deshaun Watson to play it, and that I don't get.
They've spent $230 million on that player and have gotten almost no return for it.
They're not going to get return for it.
It's the sunk cost fallacy, and I get that. But if you buy a really expensive car, let's say a Lamborghini, and you spend whatever the amount of money on said Lamborghini is, and it is broken down 15 times in the first 3-4 years you have it, and you have to keep sending it out to get repaired. You have to buy these specialty spots and parts from Italy because your normal car dealership doesn't have the parts for a Lamborghini. But all of a sudden, it comes back. You for damn sure going to take it for a test drive. And that's what I think the Browns are doing with Deshaun Watson. He is healthy right now. Can he stay healthy? Track record says no. That Lamborghini's probably going to break down again because that's what the track record tells us. But while it is good to go, while it is capable of driving, I understand, not to say I don't agree with it, but I understand the premise of why the Browns want to get something out of this asset that they paid a record amount of money for, traded 3 first-round picks for, and they're going to wring that towel dry, Bull, to see, is there anything,
it doesn't make
even if it's nothing, is there
really
anything
doesn't make any sense from an organizational standpoint. I don't buy the comparison because it's like they put parts from a Yugo in the Ferrari. I mean, he's just the odds. And again, I've been saying consistently, I get why Todd Monken might want to play him because all he cares about is winning. I get that, even if I think it's very unrealistic that he likely gives him a better chance. From an organizational standpoint, it makes no sense. And it once again reinforces the fact that Jimmy Haslam and son-in-law have no clue what they're doing. They're complete buffoons. They are buffoons. I mean, let's be honest. I don't even know why that joke of a station, ESPN Cleveland, put him on, because the guy's a clown. He goes on there and says, well, fans, they may not want to root for him, but they should get on board. Don't tell the fans who to root for, you dope.
Yeah, that's a different element, and that's certainly going to be part of it.
Yeah.
I don't mind the way Mike presented it. It's just the problem is you got the Lamborghini in the garage, and you found out it was an 88 Honda Accord.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So you paid for the parts. You paid for it. You dressed it up. You had grand plans for where you're going to drive it and how you're going to drive it. And he drove your whole organization straight into the ground.
Yeah.
And so to put him back out there when he's only under contract for 17 more games and you're part of this long-term planning thing anyway, it's bad. Now, look, if Shedeur is really that bad that he is clearly your answer, then you failed in other regards because you have to know there's no way he's going to stay healthy. There's no way he's going to succeed. And there's just so little chance that it works out for the long term. When we have been a long-term planning organization, and our only way out of this, the only way we kept the GM, is there was a faith that he would be the right guy for the long term. Right? Remember, the owner cited a 31-year-old defensive tackle, a trade for a corner, which was a very good trade, and the finding of a kicker. There's reasons that they're on the upside. Right? So even if it is, like, you want to risk what goodwill you have, you just had another really exciting draft. Fans are wired for good reason. By putting him out there, you want your first-year coach to go to a game in the stadium down the road and have his own quarterback get booed off the field? Because that's exactly what's going to happen.
So I don't agree with it. I'm putting myself in the mindset of the Haslams as to why they're pushing that out there. I'm with Zach. I'll play devil's advocate on both sides. The upside is if Todd Monken believes he's the best quarterback for the job and gives him the best chance to win. Other than that, there is no upside because Deshaun, whether he can get back to Houston Deshaun, whether he can get back to half of Houston Deshaun, whether he can get back to just the level he was at in Cleveland before that second Achilles tear, was not good enough. He's going to leave after the end of this year. Jason kind of painted the picture yesterday of
they owe him $80 million.
Look at the long term. Like, would he want to sign back if he played well enough to get to those conversations? Who knows? Like, who knows? I'm not Deshaun Watson. I don't know. The upside in Shedeur or Dylan or Talon or whoever else is, we don't know what their ceiling could be. Maybe with Dylan Gabriel we have a good idea, but the other ones we don't know what their ceiling could be.
To be fair, why do we know anymore what Dylan Gabriel's ceiling is?
We don't know. So for Taylor,
because we knew right away, boy. But we know right away on Watson because we watched it for 3 years.
And I guess what I'm saying, the other guys, at least there's the unknown. So the upside of giving them more reps, for allowing them to get more game reps, for allowing them to play, you may be able to see we struck gold, we hit a diamond in the rough, as opposed to Deshaun Watson, who
there's no long-term upside with Deshaun Watson.
Exactly.
And the long-term upside in the other guys may be limited to none, but at least it's a possibility, especially with Shedeur. There's at least a possibility he could become something.
And with Taylor Green, too. I mean, who knows if he could ever become a viable NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about what Todd Monken
Sean King said he can't play.
There's a lot of evidence that says he has no chance.
There's a reason he's a 6th-round pick with the most freakish athletic build in the history of quarterbacks. We'll get into what Todd Monken said about him after the commercial, but he has upside in one sense. Shedeur has upside.
Yeah.
Dylan, we can argue, give or take what you think his ceiling is, but we don't know what he has as a finished product. Deshaun, to get back to where he was after 6 years, 2 Achilles tears, a shoulder injury, if he can.
And the mental scars.
If he can, it's great for the fans because it'll help them win games this year.
In the short term, yes.
But in the long term, it doesn't get you to the position I think you need to get to.
Right. No, there is no upside to playing Deshaun long term. if you live in just the box of the 1 year, there is a possibility there's upside to him playing this year. It's unlikely that will be reached.
Only if your upside is you hope to win 3 games and be able to draft a quarterback.
With
Deshaun, with anyone. If that's what you can, that's the only way. It's like, okay, we know we're out on these other guys.
So you think there's no possibility, and again, I said less than 1%, but I'll give a 0.5% chance that Deshaun Watson can play again.
Yeah, okay, I'll give that too.
0.5.
Zach, I have a question for you. 2 years ago at the Greenbrier, you were the only person to be honest about what you saw from Deshaun in training camp. And you said from the get-go, he looks broken. He does not look like an NFL quarterback. He is not the guy that the Browns thought they were getting. And you were spot on. He gets into the season, does not play particularly well, obviously gets hurt. You said last week, and once again, voluntary minicamp is not training camp. They're in shorts. They're not in pads. But you said he looked pretty good. Did he look comparable to the Greenbrier 2 years ago? Was it a tiny sample size, but better? Any difference in what you saw in person from those two?
No, I mean, just an hour and 20 minutes versus a full training camp. So,
okay.
I mean, he looks like a confident player out there. There were no wow passes from anyone, I can tell you that, but it was one practice. So, once OTAs start in 19 days, there will be up to 10. We get to view 3 of them. So by the time they get into June, now they've had 13 practices instead of 1.
Yeah.
So then we'll get it, even though we'll only see 1 out of every 3, we'll get a better view. And then when they get to minicamp, we'll see the whole thing, and that will be the end of the program. So then will be something to judge. But I wasn't judging anything good, bad, or indifferent on one day. I would tell you in one day if you said, Zach, which quarterback looked the best, I would pick him. But there was
a low bar.
Not even a race, let alone a winner. It was one practice.
I was just asking.
The bottom line is Shedeur Sanders should play because the best case scenario for the Browns is that Shedeur Sanders not only plays but proves himself in year 2 to at least be a mid-tier-ish possible quarterback, and the possibility that you can move forward with him. That's the ideal. The next best scenario is that all the quarterbacks suck, and you are in a position to draft a quarterback the following year.
If Shedeur doesn't play and doesn't play to some small baseline level, but you still win even 5 games, you're looking at trading an entire draft at least to move up and get your quarterback. Right. So maybe some veteran comes in and maybe your defense maintains its level.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe one of Concepcion or Boston is an immediate star and Fanning continues to ascend. You can be up on things and you can fill it, but if you say, hey, everything we've done is right and we're built to everything but the quarterback, then you're going to have to trade every remaining asset that you have, either an entire draft or Myles Garrett to get that quarterback.
Yeah, at the end of this year, the Browns either have to say, we're moving forward with Shedeur Sanders, or we won 2 games and now we can draft our quarterback at the top of the draft.
So that's what I'm saying.
Is bad.
I wasn't really trying to make light of it. Like, if Deshaun Watson plays this season because he's the best choice, then really the best case scenario is he only wins 2 or 3 games than he wins 6 or 7.
That's true.
It's just the reality of it.
Yes. Yeah, but Todd Monken's probably not thinking that way.
Todd Monken's not thinking that way.
Yeah.
And that's why we've talked about it a number of times.
Yeah.
It's the difference of collision courses of building for the future and the immediacy of Monken versus everyone else.
Yeah, if this was built...
It doesn't go together.
If this was built, then I would... Okay, this guy has the most experience, right? He is healthy right now. In what happened here or anywhere did not affect Todd Monken. But this team is not built. This team is building. Yeah. And even what level of building is arguable. They had a great draft in 2025, right? They had, with the first 4 picks.
Yes.
Right? They look to have had a really good draft, and they made sensible decisions last October and in March in addressing things, okay? But what level of building is going on? No one thinks they're built. Now, they're built on defense. They just lost some pieces, and we'll see.
Right.
And the dynamics of this thing are always weird because one side is built, but the other side is just building. Right. And you're not there yet. So that's... Like I said, if it was built or near built, okay, just play the best guy and go because right now it's go win the division. And maybe Monken thinks that, and maybe Andrew Berry thinks that, and maybe Jimmy Haslam thinks that, and maybe it'll be because maybe these other teams are a mess.
Tyvis thinks that.
Yeah, well, Tyvis.
Tyvis did say he picked the Browns to finish 3rd.
No, Tyvis came on and picked the Browns to win the division.
Tyvis picked the Browns to win the division. He said they're the 3rd best roster, but they're going to win the division,
which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so. I just don't think that you're close to built. I think you're building, and I think there are positives about the building, and I think people can be excited about a lot of these players. Now, all of the 10 rookies have not even been in uniform yet. That doesn't happen until a week from now. And really, when OTAs start on the 19th, besides the first two, are going to get any chances with it, because it's a
Right.
building process.
Yeah, the Browns don't have a single player on offense that has had more than one good year in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of those guys are second year, but that's my point. You have nobody on the offense with a proven track. Maybe some of these veteran offensive linemen, I don't know how many good years they've had.
I mean, Jenkins at 2 times.
I guess Elton
yeah.
Jenkins maybe. But
Titus
you
Howard.
get the point. I mean,
He's not even in yet. He's overcoming an injury.
Right. And he's going to
That
play
caused
center.
his prior
which-
team to move on from him.
Right, and he's going to play center probably, which was not his best position, which is guard. So, like, you have no sure things. Like, we have some that we think are sure. Everybody likes what they did in this draft, but it comes together. Now, if it all comes together, then by 2027, either with Shedeur Sanders, if he does turn out to be a quarterback, or somebody they draft, that quarterback will be probably in pretty good shape for 27 for the team to maybe start being a winner then.
They have
But
addressed
it's going to take another year at least.
They have addressed things, and they've made sensible moves regardless of what level those work out. And history says a couple of them are going to be hits and a couple of them will be misses. The rest are going to be in the middle. But there's nothing sensible about Deshaun Watson taking one more snap for this team.
No, in the end.
And Todd Monken doesn't care about history,
Yeah.
and I get it, but there's nothing sensible about it.
Yeah.
Mike, final thought on that?
I'll say this. I've said it 30 times. I'll say it
Yeah.
again. Todd Monken is going to pick the quarterback that he believes gives him the best chance to win.
Yeah.
That's it. I can't
And
see
that-
any other world where it goes in a different direction.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the Steelers have done that for years, right? They haven't done this because they're a good organization and they stay in the mix. But for these last bunch of years with the Steelers, we knew they weren't good enough to win in the playoffs. Maybe they knew it, but they kept trying with patchwork quarterbacks. They're probably going to do it again with Aaron Rodgers this year. And the Browns aren't even at that level where they're, have a floor of around 500. We'll see what the Browns decide to do. I'm not going to be surprised because it's the Browns. I'm not going to be surprised if Deshaun Watson's the quarterback on opening day. I thought there was way too much confidence from people that Shedeur Sanders was definitely the starter.
Look, if Deshaun wins the job, whether
Yeah.
he does it in the third OTA
Yeah.
or by August 10th, okay, then he's won the job. But that, to me, is a failure of management for not applying a better option, because this is not a good option for the future of the team.
No, that's
Again,
fair.
building stage.
That's fair.
fair.
It's completely fair.